he's got to cover. And in between the two of us, there's so many facets. Food, total control. The feds have been practicing locking down food centers and admitting that. They did everything they could to get us into compact cities, urbanize us, get us off the land, animal ID, premises ID to shut down the farms and ranches, consolidate in big agribusiness. The UN says they'll use food as a weapon in Africa, in Asia, in Latin America. They actually will get the people starving and then make them come in and accept shots to get food. Then they sterilize them. The UN's been caught doing this. And the White House is proposing, the White House science czar, it's already going on. We know that this flu shot, all the different varieties, doesn't even cover the mutations. It doesn't even protect you. The public's stampeding and taking last year's flu shot that has nothing to do with it. We know they're testing all these different vaccines that are live virus. That is mainstream news. The Associated Press reports swine flu vaccines contain live H1N1 virus. Diseased African monkeys used to make swine flu vaccines. Private military contractor holds key patents. Squalene, the swine flu vaccine, in studies by medical doctors in major universities, found that the FDA's use of the vaccine in animals and humans has triggered all sorts of serious illnesses. I mean, this is just so incredible. So many people now, even when they're juvenile, are getting arthritis. It's causing autoimmune responses. It goes on and on. Steve Quayle, continue.
Well, I think one of the things that has to be really gotten through to everyone, Alex, is that there is a convergence of things that are heading into the fall, including the swine flu. First of all, for 4 years, and this is critical because it's so close to telling you what you're asking me, what specifics. We have been tracking on my radio program and a lot of contributing military people and others in the intelligence community the presence of Russian and Chinese subs off the coast. Now, different forums said I was full of crap, and my co-host, Hawk, we didn't know what we were talking about. The thing is that when you have two Akula-class subs off the East Coast, and what they're not telling the people is they're opening their launch platforms, and they have...
Wait, I got to stop you again, Steve, because I never toot our horn or your horn like we should. I remember you last year freaking out about this on this show, and this year, here's the New York Times today, Russian subs patrolling off east coast of U.S. for the first time since the Cold War.
And
there it is.
Yeah, that's a lie, though.
How did you know that? How did you know that?
Well, first of all, I can't know that unless somebody helps me to know that. But the real story, Alex, isn't even just that. The bottom line is that here's the thing. Listen, there are people that won't believe me, won't believe you, won't believe Hawk, won't believe the different guys out there that are sounding the alarm until it shows up in the mainstream press. So if it shows up in the mainstream press, and all I can say to all you people that have been poo-pooing this is let the blood of innocent Americans be on your heads and hands because you did everything you could to discredit. Let me share what's going on right now. The fact of the back channel information, the situation between the Russians and the United States is not good at all, okay? Neither is the situation with China and the U.S. They are absolutely, China is holding the majority of U.S. commercial paper worldwide. And I think that it's really important that people understand that during the last week's drills that there were red Chinese observers there, and that, listen, the military and the Guard in continental United States have been told not to make plans for 18 months. That's how long, Alex, they expect this uprising, quote, their word, not mine, to take place. And again, listen, we've been told by sources deep in the military that for the law enforcement officials that their families are going to be supposedly held in a safe place while they are deployed, but that they're not. They're going to be held almost as hostages and pawns to basically force the cops to do what they normally wouldn't do. Now, if this is coming from inside military, and you know the whole event is to basically put our law enforcement out there as the first line of enforcement, and then get them all the way. This is exactly what Hitler did. And so we've got Israel and Iran, the wild cards. We've got Russian and Chinese subs, and we don't have the P3 Orion's P3 Orion sub-chasing capabilities we used to have. We've got real problems within our sold-out Pentagon. We have sold some of our most important national secrets. And by the way, I don't think people mentioned this story. $50 billion is what Obama was going to give, or the Chinese were going to give the Obama administration for all the B-2 stealth fighter or stealth bomber and stealth fighter secrets. Did you hear that story?
Yes, I saw that. But
right,
Steve,
now, why is that important? Because these are the people that are dismantling the United States to turn it into their happy hunting ground for the global elitists. And so when I hear that someone high in the intelligence community has just defected and he said that he will not be responsible for the death of 25 to 50 million Americans, if that doesn't get through, then, Alex, I don't know how to talk. I don't know how to communicate.
Steve, I want to be clear. The globalists want to re-engineer America. They want to, once and for all, break the back of the country. They need a massive culling. They need something like Stalin or Lenin did or Mao did. And to do that, they're going to need a cover, like flu, to get their people in place and to get the troops and military to go along with it to set that precedent. Why, for several years, we've confirmed, in and around a flu outbreak, are the troops that stupid that when the feds come and say gun owner militias are going to attack you at checkpoints? Well, yeah, because they're going to be at checkpoints breaking families up. I've been to these drills. Now they're doing live action drills with real checkpoints. In Missouri, I just showed the mainstream news article earlier on screen. How do they plan on fomenting this uprising? Don't the military and police realize they're going to corner the American people? The people are going to riot because of starvation or not taking shots or whatever the case is. And then that sets the precedent to use the troops against us?
Well, right. Listen, I would not put it past them, and I'm sure they got too many scenarios as relayed to me years ago. They will set up the ideal situation where they will force specific people to fight for their lives, and then they're going to blame it as an ambush on the right wing. It'll only be paid international mercenaries attacking, well-meaning, and I don't mean this with any disrespect, but really not that aware police and probably not that aware.
No, absolutely. Operation Northwood says attack our own police inside the country. They're going to murder police on camera and put it on the news to get the cops hyped up to wage war with the people.
Right.
They want to get a civil war kicked off in this country to wreck everything. And just like Argentina, I've had their economist on, in a year and a half, people won't rebel anymore. They'll just be glad to have the electricity turned back on.
Absolutely. That was what Khrushchev said. Americans would cave in 6 days without electricity, maybe 6 or 7 days. So here's the deal, though. It's going to be important. You're saying, how can it be screwed up? They will have to play their hand if everybody in local law enforcement and the National Guard just simply box at it. And listen, if they're given an order to kill their fellow countrymen, at that point they've got to consider who gave the order. Here's something, Alex, that will really help everybody understand. This is as specific as I can make it. Here's what they're doing, the PSYOPs. They're identifying a group. Now they're vilifying that group. Gun owners, militia, you name it. Whatever they fill in the blank, constitutionalists, patriots, radio talk show hosts, then they nullify them. Well, those people are no good. That's what Obama's ACORN is all about and all of his grassroots movement. The fact that they have to put the National Security Agency, 1,000 people on the Internet to try and debunk 9/11, hello, people, would you do that if there wasn't anything to it?
And by the way, they admit now the Pentagon is hiring private contractors and has their own people out there countering us, countering the In the Fed groups. I mean, they're openly listing us as the enemy when obviously Northcom is owned and run by foreign offshore banks that are engaged in a criminal, illegitimate corporate takeover of this country, Steve. I mean, I think the solution is you get the word out to the military, you get it out to the police, you point out that we've been right in the past, you give them the materials, I'm talking to listeners, like your lives and the future depends on it. Because I believe if we get the word out about this, and we show people and educate them and go, look, police, they built all this up. We know you got training for a flu outbreak in the last year before they even launched this. Don't you see how they built the infrastructure, and right as it was complete, as the paint was drying, they launched this because they're behind schedule. This is staged. The flu shot doesn't protect you. It's deadly. The government's been caught putting chemical and biologicals in shots before. They're eugenicists. They have a plan for this. The globalists are trying to take down America. This is real. It's really happening. You've got to stand with the people and spread the word. If we don't do that, it's going to be bad. And we may not even completely stop them, but at least we can weaken what they do and hope they just fearmonger and settle for getting some soft kill